So I have unintentionally pretty much locked myself in this office all day, but I've been wanting to make a video as to what fitness is to me, because fitness, obviously the industry I'm in and the kind of the scope of, I guess you could say, my practice involves fitness. And one thing that I've realized is that most professionals, whether personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, CrossFit coaches, gyms, what have you, we haven't typically really defined fitness. We just kind of say fitness, and there's just kind of this arbitrary notion of what we're talking about. And most people just kind of assume people that are healthy, and what that means to them is just somebody that is typically lean, somebody that eats healthy, somebody that has a decent amount of work capacity. Basically, they can do a 1 hour training session and they've worked hard and they feel like they've worked hard, but they're not as tired as somebody who has sat on the couch for 10 years. But I still don't think this really gets at anything specific. It's still just kind of arbitrary and has yet to really be defined. So I'm going to try my best to define it and kind of explain what fitness means to me, or even, I guess you could even say, health. So what fitness or what health means to me is simply your body's ability to manage stress. Your body's ability to manage stressors. So we as humans have a stress response. That response is what we typically think of as fight or flight. Our heart rate elevates, our blood pressure elevates, the resources move away from our internal organs to our muscles, because back in the good old days, what this meant is that we were running from a tiger, or we were in actual danger and we needed to flee, and that response is a way to bring those resources to our muscles so we can run faster and get away. However, in our day and age, our stressors aren't potentially being eaten by a lion or tiger. It might be that goddamn boss, or it might be our girlfriend or boyfriend, it might be our job, it might be our kids, it might be, oh shoot, I forgot to get dinner tonight. But all of these things, there's not anything specific, but certain things elevate, or certain things elicit a stress response from us. So even though we're not actually running from a lion or a tiger, our heart rate elevates, our blood pressure elevates, and the resources internally move away from our organs to our muscles. Boom, boom, that's our stress response. Nothing inherently bad about this. Now, this can only become detrimental when your body forgets how to essentially come down from this stress response. So, say I experience a stressor. What's a good one? Let's say, I forgot the mortgage payment on our house. Boom, I realized I forgot the mortgage payment on my house. Heart rate elevates, blood pressure elevates, and if you read the book Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, glucocorticoids move into the bloodstream. Really good book, you should check it out. So I have this stress response, nothing bad. But if I continue to experience these stressors, my body essentially struggles more with coming down from the stress response and struggles more to get into what is typically called a rest and digest, where our heart rate comes down, the blood slowly moves back to our organs, and we're in a kind of a calm digestive state where if we were eating, our body could digest all of our food and whatnot. Not a good response to get away from a tiger. That's why we kind of have two of those separate responses. So, stress response, not inherently bad. What's bad is if you continue to have all these stressors and your body struggles coming down from the stress response. So we have two things at play here: homeostasis and allostasis. So homeostasis is just kind of your body's ability, it's basically your body's equilibrium. So your body tries to maintain homeostasis and kind of comfortability as much as possible. Allostasis is essentially your body's body's new normal. So if you experience chronic stressors and experience stress all the time, your body's going to end up lacking the efficient ability to come down from the stress response and get into more rest and digest. So what that means, that's where allostasis comes in. So what your old heart rate or blood pressure would be under normal homeostatic conditions, let's just throw out numbers here for an example, would be, oh, my heart rate under normal conditions would be 50 beats per minute, blood pressure 120/80. The next 5 years of my life, I experience a lot of stress that I don't know how to cope with, I don't know how to manage, whatever those stressors may be, and then my new normal might be 70 beats per minute on my heart rate and 140/90 as my blood pressure. And these are just numbers I'm throwing out. So that is your new normal, so that's what allostasis is. So your new normal is obviously not as good as what your old normal was. So it's essentially, God, I gotta stop saying that word, but that is your body, that demonstrates your body's inability to cope with all this stress. So, and the consequences and the chronic diseases, chronic illnesses, all cause mortality that is associated with this increased allostatic state or balance or your new normal. That is that chronic stress that your body can't manage and cope with, which brings that allostatic state or the allostatic balance. That is a high predictor of all these chronic illnesses and just like long-term detrimental health consequences. So you can be a stud in the gym, specifically only in the gym, but suck at handling and managing stress outside of the gym. And therefore, in my view of fitness and health, you might not be as fit or as healthy as you think you are. Which I think, because you can even see sometimes people that are lean and yoked up, that you can put them through something and they're just like getting destroyed. So I view fitness and health as this accumulation of all this stress and this kind of holistic approach where it's always this kind of managing, the system of managing all this stress. And again, stress is not good or bad, it's just how your body can handle and manage it and cope with it. And if you're somebody who's just naturally not able to do that, there's going to be different routes for you to manage that. And knowing that about a person is going to train as a coach is going to change the training plan you may have for them. So again, this is my idea of health, this is my idea of fitness, where it takes this kind of holistic, all-encompassing approach of how your body manages the stress in the long term, because I really think that's like the one thing that is important at all. You can be a stud in the gym, but if you don't have, there's just so many layers, if you don't have all this other stuff going on for you, it's not going to be sustainable, really. So really, to me, and this is also where you can see people that don't work out often can be really healthy because they just really know how to manage and cope with the stress, or they even their body deals with stress really well. Everybody's going to be different, and that's why you just kind of, there's certain things you can measure in this regard, but you just have to kind of know that, to me, this all-encompassing approach is really what health and fitness is, because I think that's the one thing that you can, that kind of that the research shows these markers are going to affect your increased likelihood of these various chronic diseases and whatnot. So just because you're killing it in the gym doesn't mean you have everything going right for you. I do think going to the gym is one of the big variables that you can that's easy to manage and one of the big variables that is going to greatly help all these other things. So I hope that all makes sense.